First, let me say at the outset that my wife and I got involved and actually met in the pro-life movement. Marie Smith, who's in the back, at the College of New Jersey, then called Trenton State College, and I have never seen so many pro-life college and university leaders as I see in this room. And I want to thank Kristen Hawkins for her and her staff and all of the people involved with this great Students for Life organization for the unbelievably tremendous leadership you are providing. You give us such hope on Capitol Hill. More importantly, at the college level, university level, you're providing a witness for life for human rights and for the mothers who are abandoned by the abortionists and the children who are obviously dismembered or chemically poisoned by these purveyors of death. So I want to thank you, pray for you, and hope that your numbers continue to multiply going forward. Let me just, Kristen, I know you're on a very tight schedule, so I'll cut right to the point. My friends, if you really want to know where the aggressive proponents of the culture of death will take us, if you and I and our church don't stand in the way, just look at China. This past week, President Obama rolled out the red carpet, replete with a lavish state dinner for the unelected Communist Party dictator Hu Jintao. Not unexpectedly, human rights were left outside the White House door, as Obama even defended Hu Jintao at a joint press conference at the White House. The Associated Press writer asked some questions about human rights, and Obama, not Hu Jintao, but Obama, said the Chinese have a different system, offered as an apology. Yes, Mr. President, they have a dictatorship. He said the Chinese have a different culture. An insult to every Chinese man, woman, and child who aspires to be free. An insult to Liu Xiaobo, the Nobel Peace Prize winner, who today languishes in a prison camp in China. Couldn't even travel to Oslo to receive his prize, nor his wife. And yet the '09 Peace Prize winner, Barack Obama, entertained and fawned and kowtowed to this terrible dictatorship and dictator. Back in China on Friday, the Chinese press was gushing how this was a, quote, super stroke of diplomacy on the part of Hu Jintao in America. The president failed miserably. All the human rights issues, Hu Jintao presides over a gulag state. I know many of the former political prisoners. I had 7 of them at a press conference on Tuesday, including Chai Ling, Harry Wu, and so many others. Chai Ling talked about the one-child-per-couple policy, with its reliance on forced abortion and involuntary sterilization. We all talked about the missing girls in China. Because of this one-child-per-couple policy, enabled and backed by the UN Population Fund, Marie Stopes International, and pro-abortion organizations all over the world, including Planned Parenthood. They want child limitation. Let's not forget, it was Margaret Sanger who wrote a book called Child Limitation and argued aggressively against people of color, against Catholics, Irish, Italians, and just about everybody else but her, in terms of who should procreate, because he wanted to clean the stock of human life. Of course, that parallels exactly what Adolf Hitler did. In China today, the missing girls has led to human trafficking excesses. 40 million men will not be able to find wives in China by 2020 because of the missing girls. Nothing was said by the White House, nothing by this administration about this worst violation of women's rights ever. Where was Hillary Clinton? Where are the radical feminists? For a long time I have pondered why it is that the feminists are so pro-abortion. They're not pro-choice or whatever way they try to frame it. There is a prejudice against the child in the womb. It's an acceptable bigotry. And we saw that play out once again last week when an abortion doctor in Philadelphia was indicted for killing 7 babies who were born through a method that produces a live birth, and allegedly for killing a mother as well with an overdose of anesthesia. The parallels about, and let me just say, if we don't fight to save the lives of our own unborn children and to save the lives of the mothers, the co-victims of every abortion, and thank God it is the pro-life movement in our churches that reach out with the hand of love and reconciliation. Last night, Kristen got the Life Prize for her great work on behalf of pro-life. 5 others got it as well, including Dr. Alveda King, for her work in reaching out to women who have been disenfranchised and have no place to go with the Silent No More Awareness campaign. Let me conclude by saying this. Ted Turner, just a few days ago, said that we need a world of one-child-per-couple policies. Lester Brown of World Watch, a big thinker, so-called pseudo-thinker in my opinion, has said we need a world of 1- and 2-child-per-couple policies. The elites at the United Nations, at the UNFPA, many in the White House and the State Department believe that we ought to get down to 2 to 2.5 billion people as opposed to the 7 billion. Of course, they never volunteer themselves. They offer up other people to take the bullet. Well, Ted Turner says we need a world of 1 child per couple policy. Founder of CNN, and he works very aggressively at the United Nations, as do many of his people, especially those who are part of his non-governmental organization. If we do not fight, obviously with the tools of love, compassion, prayer, fasting, and hard work, that's our tools. The other side is the violence. We are the non-violent ones. Not only what happens in China potentially could happen here, but it is already happening in other parts of the world. In the Philippines, 2-child per couple policy being promoted. All over Africa, child limitation policies are being promoted, and you only get there by coercion. And finally, and I didn't say finally before, but let me just finish with this. I had a woman at a hearing named Wu Jian. Wu Jian is a student just like you. She came from China. She now got asylum here because she had a well-founded fear of persecution, our asylum law, and was given a safe haven here. I had her testify before she got that asylum a year ago at my 27th hearing on human rights abuses in China. Wu Jian told how there are no unwed mothers in China. They are all forcibly aborted. And again, brothers and sisters are illegal in China. The government tells you when and if you can have even the one. When she became pregnant, the government began knocking on her door and said, "You must abort." She resisted. They kept coming, and she resisted. She gave excuses, says, "Oh, next week I'll talk to you," and she went on and on. They then, when she went into hiding to have her baby, went and got her father. And this is what they do. They arrest family members and they beat them. They hold them. They incarcerate them until the mother comes forward to submit to a, quote, voluntary abortion, and that's the way the UN Population Fund construes it. Hu Jintao said this week, there are no forced abortions in China, in answer to a question from Speaker Boehner, who had the courage to pose it to him. So she was finally tracked down. She went in and said, "Stop beating my father, I'm here." The van broke in, took her away, and then she said, and I'll quote her very briefly, the room was full of moms who had just gone through forced abortions. Some moms were crying, some moms were mourning, some moms were screaming, and one mom was rolling on the floor with unbearable pain. The physician, wasn't the physician, the LPN who did the forced abortion said, "Well, we do about 10,000 forced abortions in our county alone last year." Totally unapologetic. And then she said, "I did not have any time to think as this horrifying surgery began on me by force. I could hear the sound of the scissors cutting the body of my baby in my womb. I could feel that little baby cut into pieces." She almost committed suicide, came and told her story, and did so through tears. What we do here, things as bad as they are here, 52 million unborn children killed, and the number continues. Planned Parenthood alone does 324,000 every year, and they're growing the number of abortion mills. Doctors like this one in Philadelphia, cutting with scissors children. Where is the outrage? Well, it is in this room. And we need to marshal it. We need to be wise as serpents and gentle as doves, as we have been admonished by our Lord. Some of you in this room, and I hope will consider running for office. My wife and I, when we were in Trenton State, over a pizza, said, maybe I'll run for Congress someday, when I was running the pro-life organization and she was our treasurer. We both laughed. A couple years later, I was running for Congress, lost the first time, ran the second time, and won. We need men and women, you, and you're doing it, to fully commit to the lives of these unborn children and for their mothers, the two co-victims of every abortion, and Students for Life again. Mobilizing, organizing, motivating, inspiring, educating. We can win this terrible struggle, this human rights abuse that calls itself a human right. And I pray God that soon, very soon, the babies and their mothers will be free from the violence of abortion. Thank you, and God bless.